So I will present about the 2019 first concurrent election in Indonesia. So my topic will be maintaining the quality of contestation in the midst of technical complexity. Why I use this title for my presentation based on our experience in 2019 election, how big the election, how complex the election, and so many obstacles we face to when we organize the election. So Indonesian election makes us as the third largest democracy in the world after India and the United States. It based on population. So based on the population, Indonesia is number third as the democratic country that implement democracy as its government system. So, but based on the size of its election, Indonesian election is the biggest one-day election in the world. That data taken from 2014 election, when in Indonesia we only have 4 positions to be elected by our voters. So it means the status still gained by Indonesia for 2019 election, because in 2019 election, we had 5 public officials position elected in 2019 election. So Indonesian election always be the one-day election in the world. What is the one-day election in the world? It means that we we vote for some position during the election at the same time, same day, and same polling station. We also recognized by the international community as the most complex election in the world, based on the region size, geography, organizers, the numbers of election organizers, etc., etc. And also, this is what makes me proud. Indonesia also the largest democratic Muslim country in the world. We prove to the world that Islam and democracy can be working hand in hand, compatible each other. So that's an introduction to Indonesian democracy, Indonesian election at the beginning. And also, how about the 2019 election? So the 2019 election was the first concurrent of presidential and legislative election in Indonesian electoral history. Usually, before the 2019 election, we elect presidential candidates and legislative candidates in a separate time. So legislative election prior to presidential, and usually the legislative election conducted in April, and then the presidential election conducted in July. But for the first time, because we follow the Constitutional Court decision, the old one, now we have the newest one, the latest one. Professor Saldi will explain about the latest Constitutional Court decision on the concurrent election. But 2019 election is the implementation of Constitutional Court decision number 14 year 2013. In that decision stipulated that election in Indonesia only constitutional if implemented to elect 5 positions at the same time. Consists of presidential election, and then National House of Representatives members election, and then regional representative councils members election, or Senate election, and then a provincial representative election, and then regency and municipality representatives election. So 5 ballot papers at the same time. So we usually call it that election as 5 ballots with different colors, 5 ballots boxes. So 5 ballots election. We usually call it our 2019 election as a 5 ballots election. You can see on my screen what position elected in last election in number 2 in line number 2. And the election regulated in law number 7 year 2017 on elections, the first codified election law regulates legislative election, presidential election, and election organizers in one election text, in one law, in one act, divided into 6 books and 573 articles. So can you imagine so many provisions public? We can also call it 2019 election as the experimental elections. Why? Because during that election, we introduced new regulation, new system, institutional behavior. So that's why I call it the election as the contestation with excessive competition for political parties. We not only concurrent presidential candidates. Why it's a very competitive contestation for the political parties? Because at that time, beside the concurrent election, we also implement a new parliamentary threshold for the election. So in last election, the parliamentary threshold, the requirement for the political party to be able to gain seats in parliament is only 3.5% from the valid votes for the legislative election. But in 2019 election, they increased the parliamentary threshold from 3.5% to 4% in 2019. So the increasing of parliamentary threshold also push the the high tension of competition for the political parties. It's not easy to gain seats in parliament. As I mentioned earlier, the 2019 election is the largest, most complex, complicated, and competitive election in the course of Indonesian electoral democracy. Lindsay, this is the type of Indonesian election ballots. So the ballot paper, you can see that we have 5 different colors for our ballot papers. You can later on see the size of our election ballots. The green one is for the regency and municipality level for the House of Representatives. And then the blue one is for the provincial level for the legislative election, for the House of Representatives at the provincial level. And then the yellow one is for the National House of Representatives. So we had a different color for each position. And then the red one is for the senator, and the gray one is for presidential election. So the voters can recognize the difference between ballot papers by knowing the color of the cover of the ballot paper. So how about the size? So since Indonesian election system is proportional representation with the open list, it means we have some candidates appears on ballot paper and we can vote for them directly, not like in US that you have first past the post system as a variant of majoritarian election system. In Indonesia, we implement open list proportional representation. We vote directly for the candidates with several candidates appears on ballot paper. So this is the size of Indonesian ballot paper for the legislative election. You can see that in last election, we have 16 political parties. The 16 political parties only for the national election. For DPR, DPR is a National House of Representatives, but we also have local political parties for Aceh, only for Aceh region. So Aceh implement a special autonomy system, and only in Aceh we can have local political parties. So in last election, Indonesia, we have 16 political parties for the national election, and plus 4 local political parties in Aceh province. So in Aceh province, there were 20 political parties joining the election. So you can see that each political party has their own logo. It helps people to make a difference between one party to another party, and also we put numbers on our political party contestant. So number 1 is for Nation Awakening Party, Partai Kebangkitan Bangsa, and number 2 is for Gerindra, number 3 for PDIP, number 4 for Golkar, number 5 for Nasdem, and so on and so on. So the real size of Indonesian ballot paper approximately, if I'm not mistaken, from 50 centimeters to 80 centimeters. So it's a big size of ballot paper. It's not easy to handle the ballot paper when you were in a ballot booth, because the size is so big. And also we have so many candidates like this. If you can see the line below the party logo, that's the list of the candidates. The candidates in each district consists of minimum 3 candidates and maximum 10 candidates for the national House of Representative election. So we have a different seat allocation for national legislative election with local legislative election. For the national, the seat allocation minimum 3 seats and then maximum 10. But for the local legislative election, minimum 3 seats and then maximum 12 seats. So the size of the ballot paper becomes so big, so many candidates. For example, in my district, in my electorates, in my electoral district, I live in South Tangerang, in the border with Jakarta. I have to recognize more than 500 candidates who competed in last 2019 election. So it's not easy for voters Indonesia to act rationally and then smart to identify the candidates, because the candidates is so many. I hope you can imagine the complexity of the election by seeing this the size of this ballot paper. And then the left one is for the Senate election or DPD or Regional Representative Council, if I'm not mistaken, the translation for the institution. We can vote directly for the candidates with photos. The different with the House of Representatives, there were only a list of candidates, but for the Senate, we can see the photograph of the candidates in the ballot. And then the candidate for each province different from each to another province, but the elected candidate will be for person per each province for the Senate election. So we have a senator, 4 senator representing each province in Indonesia. We have 34 provinces in Indonesia, so it means 34 provinces times 4 representative for the Senate. The right one is for the presidential election. As you know that we only have two candidates in last election, candidate number 1 and candidate number 2. Number 1 is Prabowo Subianto. Sorry, oh, I did mistake. Number 1 is Joko Widodo, the elected candidate, the elected president. And then number 2 is his opponent, his competitor Prabowo Subianto. But currently, the recent development, Prabowo Subianto, the competitor of President Jokowi, now becoming part of the Jokowi's administration. So there's no more opposition anymore in Indonesia right now. So this is the voter list for 2019 election. You can see that we have big numbers of huge numbers of voters in our last election. For the presidential election, this is the last data. The voters registered in the fixed voter list is more than 192 million voters. So it consists of 190 million something for the domestic voters, the voters that domicile in Indonesia, and also plus more than 2 million overseas voters or voters that domicile in abroad. So why we have that huge numbers of voters? Maybe because of our voting age requirement. If in US the voting age is 18, in Indonesia the voting age is 17. But if you are not yet 17, but if you already get married or ever get married, although you are not yet 17, you also can vote in election. So we have two types of requirements to be able to vote in election. First, that you must be 17 years old on the voting day. And second, you can vote although you are below 17 if only you are already or ever get married. This is the age classification for the 2019 voters list. You can see that we have more than 17 million voters below 20 years old. We have so many millennials in our election, and then we have more than 42 million for the voters in age range from 21 to 30, and then 43 million for the voters with age range 31 to 40, and then 37 million for the voter with the age range from 41 to 50. So can you imagine that based on the age, if we classify the millennials as a voters below 40, we have more than 100 million voters with the age below 40 years old. Then the 2019 election with its all complexity and the size, with its huge size, with the proportional representation system for the legislative election, and then a two-round system or majority runoff for the presidential system. It's loaded in technical complexity and time. Very complex form of technical point of view, and it is estimated that the counting, not only estimated, but the counting time takes so long time. Sorry, I made mistake on the translation on the first line. So based on the experience in 2019 election, it took more than 24 hours to work on the voting day, to vote and to count the result of the election. Mostly the polling officials finished their work to count the ballot paper at the polling station in in the very morning of the next day. So they work more than 24 days. Oh, sorry, 24 hours. It made more than 700 polling officials died because of the, exhausted in doing their work at the polling station. So it's a bad collective memory for us in Indonesia, how the election, although we are not in the war situation, but the voting days, and then make so many polling officials died in doing their job. Public attention dominated our last election, dominated by the attention for the presidential election. It made the knowledge and understanding on the holding of the legislative election relatively very minimal or very low. So because we only have 2 candidates in last 2000 election, it's polarized the society, it's polarized the voters, and make the competition so divide make the voters very divided, but not based on the programmatic or ideas, but based on the fanatism. So we have a very fanatic voters in Indonesia, with full of emotional approach, full of not in a critical, in a in how to say, not apa ya, Ria? Kritis itu apa ya? Lupa saya. Ari bisa bantu nggak? Oh, halo?
Critical maybe?
Yeah, maybe not a critical voters, not a voters with the focus on ideas or program, but based on the emotional bond, emotional perspective. We came into a very concrete post-truth era in our last election. They don't criticize the program, the vision, the mission, the ideas of the candidate, but they were criticizing the appearance, the it's so emotional sentiment. It's far away from our imagination to have a programmatic election. So what I found on voting day, because the concentration, the attention of the voters during the election is only for the presidential election, the polling station supervision became so weak on the legislative election process. That's the my impression on 2019 election. And also, okay, this is the recap number of candidates in 2019 election. For the National House of Representatives, we have more than 7,900 candidates. So, Lindsay, can you imagine that for the national legislative election, there are so many candidates, as the implication of the proportional representation Opolis system we adopt or we implement. From that numbers, unfortunately, only 74% candidates willing to open their profile. So in Indonesia, it's not mandatory for the candidates to open their curriculum vitae. So in our election management system, the election commission offers candidates to close or disclose their curriculum vitae or background CV. but only 74% candidates willing to open their curriculum vitae or their background. It's so weird because in election usually you want people to know your background, to know your education history, your work history. But in Indonesia, some of the candidates, they just close their background, their track record, maybe because they don't want people know about their bad track record. I think I have all in my presentation. Sorry if